You're listening to the Things About Nature podcast. Coming to you from a city that never sleeps is me, your host, Rockshana. I invite you to join me in truly honest, passionate, and fun talks that motivate, invigorate, and maybe inspire. Even though we're no longer in the mile high, the sky is still the limit. Everything and anything goes. So let's start talking about things of that nature. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Things About Nature podcast. I'm your host, Rockshana, and not sure if you know, but some people know, but I'm on this whole eat healthy, I don't like vegetables, but I have to eat healthy kind of kick. It's the story of my life. I put cheese on everything that I consider too healthy. Yeah, and I don't think vegetables should be liquid. So today's guest is someone that I got a thumbs up, but I'm pretty sure when I said I don't eat healthy, she was like, no vegetables. I'm not sure. What are we going to talk about? I don't know. We'll see. Today I have Tanaya Jolliffe, who's actually a registered dietitian. So hi, Tanaya. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. And I agree with you that vegetables shouldn't be liquid.
Yes, finally. Everyone's trying to get me to drink a blended kale smoothie.
Right.
No.
Right.
Fruits.
You lose all the fiber when you do that.
Ooh, now I'm gonna start. I can't drink that. I want the fiber.
That's right. That's right.
So where in the world are you, Tanya?
I'm in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area.
Oh, I have not been to Ohio. Am I missing it?
Oh, yeah. The weather changes every day. It can change from morning to evening. So, but we do get the seasons here, which is nice. Okay. Nice. So how did your journey of being a dietitian actually happen? Well, I was a 3-sport athlete in junior high and high school. And so loved anatomy, physiology, chemistry, biology, that kind of stuff. So I received a full ride scholarship to play volleyball in college. Nice. And so I picked chemistry thinking that I was going to work in a lab. And very soon into the journey realized I don't want to be in a lab just working with animals and petri dishes and that kind of stuff. I want to be with people. So I thought, well, okay, dietitian. I remembered Facts of Life and Mrs. Garrett from the Facts of Life as a dietitian. So I investigated that a little bit and I was like, well, I don't like to cook and whatever, but sports nutrition, that could be a really great fit for me. So I started out in that idea that I was going to be in sports nutrition. And during my journey with volleyball, I was not somebody who weighed myself in high school. I got my physical once a year. Everything checked out okay. My mother did not talk about her weight. She did not talk about diets. She did not have Cosmopolitan magazine or any of that kind of influence. She didn't talk about going on a diet. She didn't any of that. There wasn't a scale sitting out in our bathroom. And so we just were a normal, healthy person. We fit in our clothes and we went to the doctor. The doctor said we were healthy and that was the end of it. But when I got to college, I was given a playing weight. And the quest to meet that playing weight and then maintain that playing weight led to disordered eating. And that journey of disordered eating led me to say, sports nutrition, maybe that's not the road for me. Clinical nutrition, maybe that's more for me. And through that journey, I ended up working in end-stage organ disease, and then kidney, liver, and pancreas transplants. So I was working with the sickest of the sick. And stayed home with my kids for a few years and then went back into the workforce. And I worked as a health coach with an online platform. Similar to my FitnessPal, was a precursor to that. And worked with the healthiest of the healthy. And so I kind of saw both sides, right? I kind of saw how both sides worked. And I'm glad that the sports nutrition side of it really never worked out because there's a lot more to helping people stay healthy and to understand that health is not about a number on a scale or the size clothing that you wear. And that's what diet culture has taught people. And so that's where over the years, my passion has really come for helping people walk away from diets and walk away from a diet culture that's focused on a BMI. That's a stupid calculation. Everybody should throw that out the window. and really just focus on being the healthiest in the body type that they have, understanding their body type, understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of that body type, and learning how to be healthy and whole in the body that they have. And so I've liked the journey that I've taken. It's really taken some twists and turns. I ended up writing a journaling program, the Mindful Me Journey, a 40-day guided journal toward a healthier relationship with food and exercise. And that was based on my own journey of walking myself out of this disorder and chronic dieting kind of mindset. So now I help other people do the same thing.
Nice. So how would you describe healthy?
Well, healthy has numbers. So there are numbers, but it's not the number on the scale, because I was my most unhealthiest at my lowest adult body weight.
That's fair.
So if I was checking a blood level of my albumin, for instance, that's a blood level that you can have checked at your doctor, and a blood albumin level of 4.5 is very good. Well, mine would have been in the 3s because I wasn't nourishing my body. And so that's a measure of health that you can use. Your cholesterol level, your waist circumference, your glucose, A1C, blood pressure. Those are all numbers that tell you about health. And improving those numbers requires behaviors. So you can do healthy behaviors that change those numbers, or you can do unhealthy behaviors, and you have to put all those parts and pieces together to determine, if you're healthy. But your albumin gets checked when you go to the doctor for your physical every year, but it's not a number your doctor ever talks to you about. Right. So it's kind of changing that focus and looking at the parts and the pieces of health and wholeness. Muscle density, bone density, muscle mass, hydration status. Those are all indicators of health. And those are all numbers that we could pay a little bit more attention to and a little less about the BMI or the number on the scale, because a bodybuilder is going to show up as being overweight or obese on a BMI scale. Right. Even though that there's very little body fat. So that's why that number is not a good number, and people should just ignore that part and pay a little more attention to some of the other numbers.
Okay. So it's really, all right, I can pick up what you're putting down. And I'm sure a lot of people too can relate to the fact of, it depends on your body. It depends on your body, depends on your structure. It is all individual. And I had a trainer one time tell me, it really depends on what your goal is, what your body can handle, and then we work towards that, which made sense, because I'm not going to lift a 200-pound weight like that. I know that's not part of my future.
So here's a question for you. Do you still work with that trainer?
I don't anymore, just because of distance, but we still keep in touch.
Okay. So what made you stop working with a trainer?
It was the fact of, because of him saying that, I was then satisfied of, okay, cool. I can do this. It's what I want to put out. So the energy and the amount that I put into it is going to result into what's happening, which, let us say, it happened in college, that time where you're trying to maintain, you're at the adult, where you're listening and seeing all these things happen. It's at that point where I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. I don't have to be a certain size. Like, what are my goals? Like, what do I physically and mentally want to look like, feel like, and that kind of thing.
And that suggests that you have a very positive self-esteem, that you have a very positive self-image. And so it didn't trigger anything in you that says, I got to work harder. I got to be a certain number, a certain size. But for every one of you, there's somebody else that says, well, there's something wrong with my body. I'm not right in this body. I need to have a body that looks like her. And so I need to do whatever. And so they will work out with a trainer. They will get to the dress size that they want to get to. They will get to the number on the scale that they want to get to. And then as soon as they meet that goal, they stop.
Yeah.
Because it was not about health. It was not about wholeness. It was not about a lifestyle that they could maintain. It was about a number on a scale or the size of a dress.
Yep. Pretty much.
And so that's where that disorder or the idea of I'm not okay in the body that I was given. I need to be in somebody else's body. And, you know, we don't get to pick our body type. I mean, our genetics are picked for us by the parents that we were created from. Mm-hmm. And lifestyle contributes to it, and we can be healthy and in the body type that we have. But if you have an endomorphic body type, you're not going to be the long, lean runner. Even if you're running marathon after marathon after marathon, your body is not ever going to look like that in a healthy way, because you just don't have that. There's 4 in my family, and 2 of us are what my father's body type, and 2 of us take after my mother's side of the family and her body type. So within families, you have different body types. And so I've seen sisters where one sister has this ideal hourglass figure and the other one has an endomorphic body type, and they're wanting to be what the other sister is. That's just not the genetics you have. And so coming to find that body acceptance is learning what your body can and can't do, what body type you have, and then learning to love it. Yeah. Learning to love the body that you were given.
Yes, that's 100%. Learning to love your body.
Yep. Yep.
Now we know there are so many different dieting fads out. There's so many different people creating their own.
Yep.
Which one makes you cringe the most?
Keto.
Really?
And the reason I'll tell you that is because I'm old. And back when I was first a dietitian, in the diet manual, because back then we had diet manuals that you could look up every type of diet, the Cincinnati Diet Manual had a keto diet. And it stated right in there for the purpose of that keto diet. Now, this is back in 1992, 93. The purpose of the keto diet was for people with seizure and epilepsy disorders, because it changes the brain. Well, over the years, people saw that you also lost weight on it, and they focused on the weight side of it. Well, that's true, but you also are doing some changes in your brain chemistry that you're not factoring into that. And how that affects you is going to be individual. Do you have tremors? Do you end up with some other neuromuscular issues that you didn't have before? And can that be undone? I'm not sure. And
wow,
some diet manuals have now taken that out. But there's not a lot of dietitians who are going to, especially older dietitians, who are going to recommend that, because it does have a purpose, and it has to do with seizure disorders and epilepsy disorders. And every diet that you pick, there's a consequence and an unintended consequence, right? There's an outcome, and then there's an unintended outcome.
Right.
When I worked with people that would have diabetes and kidney failure and heart disease, well, those diets don't mix. A renal diet, a kidney diet, you have to have high fat. Well, that works against what you're taught about heart health. Everything's a give and take, right? Everything's a give and take. And so I have to give up the heart protection to not be on dialysis every day of my life. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same with the keto diet. That keto diet, a lot of the kids or teens that were put on it would fight to not lose weight, because of that's what that diet does. But they would fight to not lose weight while also not having as many seizures, or having them as long, or having them as severe. And so you have to look at the big picture. So if I was picking any diet, I would say that's not a diet that's really intended for weight loss, because I think that there's some unintended consequences that some people could experience without understanding that that's the reason they're now experiencing them.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just learned something. I had no idea. I hope others have learned this now and maybe rethinking their keto journey, or just being like, oh, wow, that's why my body does this randomly out of nowhere.
Right. Well, and it's also thinking about, why am I trying to lose weight? What is this motivation for losing weight? And why do I need to lose it fast? And again, it goes back to diet culture. It goes back to dissatisfaction with our body because we're trying to be a different body type. Being healthy, losing weight is about lifestyle changes and behavior changes. Mm-hmm. Keto wants to kind of sabotage that and take away that and give you some quick fix instead of really addressing all of the stress in your life, or the financial disease that you have, or, the other lifestyle issues that are contributing. Because people can focus on their physical well-being, and they can focus on the diet that they eat and the exercise that they get, and totally ignore the stress in their life that comes from the relationships, or that comes from the financial issues, or the job that they hate. And everything about the rest of their life is going to undo everything that they're trying to do with what they eat and how they exercise, especially with the cortisol that's being put out, especially with the way in which their blood pressure is maintained, or their blood sugar is maintained if they've got a disease process that's working at the same time.
Yes, that is 100%. I agree with that. 100, 1,000, a million percent. I say that because, the people that say, oh, I stress eat, but at least I stress eat strawberries, or I stress eat. And I'm like, yeah, you stress eat something healthy, but you're still stress eating. So maybe 4 strawberries have turned into the whole pack, which isn't that great for you after a while.
And the stress is already releasing the cortisol, which is actually telling your body to pack and store whatever it is you're eating. So it doesn't matter. I can gain weight on strawberries and apples, or I can gain weight on chocolate, because it's about the mechanism that you put in place with the cortisol and the insulin that told your body to pack. Yep. And so helping people to understand that and realize that it's not about, I break it down into what, why, and how. And everybody focuses on the how without paying attention to the what and the why. But if you want to make lasting change, if you want to improve your health, you have to understand the what you do, why you do it, before you can ever put a how in place.
Ooh, I like that. So. Now, your journal that you created, you said it was rooted and based off of your journey that you went. With your coaching, how do you work it so that it works for an individual person?
Well, I just gave you kind of the keys to the secret, because the journaling is really based on, what am I doing with food? Okay. Why am I doing it? Looking at emotions and feelings, looking at triggers, looking at hunger cues, looking at, do I have a headache before I ate, so that let me know that I needed to eat? Or am I just eating because the clock told me that I was supposed to eat? And I eat at this time every day, whether I'm hungry or not hungry. And so by journaling that, I broke it down into 4 phases. You have to realize what you're doing and why you're doing it. Then you have to look at, okay, if I am stress eating, and that's revealed, what are other things I could do? What are other things that I could select instead? So then you have a list of the things you could select. Then you go from that and you look at, okay, I could select something else. Did I? Or did I just do the same habits that I always do? Then the third phase of that is another 10 days of really looking at guardrails. And a guardrail, for instance, might be, I know that when I eat out of a bag, I just mindlessly eat. So I'm going to take a portion out of the bag, I'm going to put it on a plate, and I'm going to sit at a table versus sitting in front of a computer. So those are ideas of guardrails that you'd put in place. And then the last phase is really looking at just building a healthy plate, because you don't need to weigh and measure. That's really a diet mentality of weighing and measuring. You can get a nice, 9-inch plate, and you can make half of it fruits and vegetables. You can make a little quarter of it a healthy protein, and you can make a quarter of it a whole grain or a potato or something like that. And you can build your own healthy meal that's got nutrients that you're focusing on. So you're focusing on the nutrients that come from the carbohydrates and the nutrients that come from the protein and the nutrients that come from the fruits and the vegetables. And in my coaching, I've got a kind of a 4-month intensive. I've got a smaller program that's focused more on just looking at the what and why and how of the book. But then I've got another program that I really help people look at all the other parts of their life and figure out how all those other parts of their life are contributing to what they do with food and why they do it. That relationship that they really thought was no big deal, but it really triggers everything in how they deal with people at work, at home, at school, whatever. The financial instability that they have that they really didn't realize was such a big deal, but I think about it 15 times a day and I didn't really realize I thought about it. Yeah. And so it's looking at a life, because you're a whole person. You're not just physical well-being. You're not just a number on a scale. You're not just the food that you eat. You're why you're eating it, how you're eating it, when you're eating it, and who you're eating it with. Are you eating it alone? Are you hiding? Are you eating, binge eating by yourself in the car? You've gone through the drive-through and then you throw the bags away so nobody knows. All of those types of things, that's not health. And so those are the behaviors that lead us to a number on a scale, but it's all of those behaviors that we've got to better understand about ourselves.
I like it. So how does one reach out to you for the journal, for coaching?
My website is litwellnesssolutions.com. And there's a link for the book on there. It's also on Amazon, so they can go up and look at the Mindful Me Journey on Amazon. But understanding that it's a doing book. It's not a reading book. It's a doing book for you to actually go through and really put the time in to journal. And I had somebody say to me, but do you have it in a digital format? Well, digital uses a different part of your brain, and you really want to engage in that whole writing process of thinking and writing. So it's a doing book. It's an old-fashioned get out the pen and really reflect. But it doesn't reflect on the foods that you ate. It reflects on, in terms of portions and all that kind of stuff. It's a non-diet approach. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
Ooh, so who knew? First of all, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, I said it. I had no idea about that keto thing. I just thought I liked that Tanya had a lot to share. And I just love the fact of her saying, you have to love your body, which I say it all the time. I've had so many guests say it. And this one, I like it because of the fact that we are talking about what you're eating, how you feel when you eat it, how you look, what diet you're on. I mean, there's so many diets, there's so many different fads, there's so many things that work for people that don't work for other people, but it really all comes down to how you feel, how you look. It comes down to you. And I really like that we touched that today, especially talking about a diet, a non-diet, your food. I'm your host, Rockshana. Today's guest was Tanaya Jolliffe. Be sure to tune in each week for a new episode. And remember, everything and anything goes. The sky is the limit. Music for the Things of That Nature podcast is an original track by Jared Sacramento called Dosage.